Welcome back into the Pig Trail Show and welcome into your Hog Hoops Report. That's Kevin McPherson. I'm Evan Camico. Kevin, we got to talk basketball. It's the big story this weekend up on the hill. Arkansas taking down #1 Kansas in a charity exhibition, albeit the Jayhawks were shorthanded. So when you look at this game as a whole, what's really the big impact that you take away about the future of this Arkansas team?
Well, while keeping part of my brain and one eye on what happened against Purdue last year, although this is a new context, new program, and basically a new roster, there's a lot to take away from this that you like, especially the fact that Boogie Flane and DJ Wagner proved they could play together. We talked so much about those guys are going to have big roles. Both of them as lead guards that bring a little something different. But I think we saw that they could play in tandem. In fact, if you look back last year, you saw enough evidence with DJ Wagner playing with three eventual first-round draft or 2 first-round draft picks and a second-round draft pick at Kentucky in the backcourt that he can play as a combo, as can Boogie Flynn, and they can play together and complement each other. I think that stood out to me a lot. I thought on both ends of the court, defense and offense, Arkansas had long stretches where it was the better team. They weren't perfect, and there were a few mini runs that Kansas put together. But every time that happened, Arkansas would come up with a big defensive play and stem the tide and then get in transition. And I always say Calipari's best teams at Kentucky always stood out to me, how they could turn a close game into a win just by being better in transition, getting easy scores. I saw a lot of that in this game. Big Z playing out high as a passer, and then when they slip him down low, he shows how cerebral he is. You know, in the tip-off tour event, he slipped a screen out high, or maybe it was a dribble handoff play, and he got down low, got a pass. There was some traffic. He reset it by throwing the pass back out to the perimeter, and then it came right back to him. Then he finished over his left shoulder with a lefty little baby hook. And then we saw another smart play down low by him, where on the I think it was the right low block, the defense cleared. He was basically mano a mano, and he just spin baseline and dunked on I think it was the freshman, 5-star freshman, Bendinga for Kansas. But you know, a tip in, he hit a couple of threes, 2 of 5 from 3, 18 points. Of course, 22 points, 6 steals, I think 5 assists, and more disruption on defense by Boogie Flynn. I think he created 2 or 3 more turnovers, just reaching in and poking the ball off somebody out of bounds. I mean, this guy was wreaking havoc. Same thing with DJ Wagner, 24 points, I think 4 or 5 rebounds, and he also had some steals and had some of that disruption on defense. And then I look at Nelly Davis. You know, Bill Self said we will not face as good a backcourt as Arkansas had with those 3. You can look at the shooting numbers. He's been hurt. I thought he was rusty offensively. But several things I liked, and Calipari talked about it. Just a pit bull going after loose balls, rebounds. He's always in the action. He sees every play as an opportunity to make a play. There was one play where he got a steal and threw ahead Kansas's defense in transition, but also kind of threw it from right to left, and Carter Knox just strolled in for a layup. Carter Knox, after watching the replay on DVR, after covering the game in person, probably did a little bit more than I thought he did when I was watching live because of those loud performances by Big Z and Fland and Wagner. But Adu Thiero is a beast physically on defense. Some of those rebounds he got, that dunk in transition. I thought Trevor Brazile, even though his stats were low, the 5 rebounds, I think he had a couple of steals, had some really good moments where you can tell he's playing more aggressively and more physically. He's gotten bigger. Aside from not getting to put eyes on Jonas Adu, of course, Hunter Dickinson was out for Kansas. I thought Arkansas was the better team. That's what you see in a 16-point win. And the thing again was every time Kansas made a run, the #1 team, you're talking 2 veterans and DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams, who did play, were on a national championship team 3 years ago. They played Arkansas and lost in that round of 32 NCAA tournament. They've been around the block on a very good Kansas team. They were outplayed by their counterparts at Arkansas. So there's a lot of good to take away from this. And then again, let's sew it up by one of the first things I said. Remember Purdue last year? We're in October. This is exhibition. If you go back even 2 years, Texas before that, when Arkansas lost by 32 years ago, that team was a Sweet 16. Arkansas knocks off the eventual national runner-up in Purdue and has a losing season, just imploded. So you can't bank anything off this in terms of what the team success will be. But I think we're getting some good ideas about how this team can be successful, what some of the strengths and weaknesses are of individual players. And of course, you had Bill Self and John Calipari, and I didn't even mention the era opener for John Calipari. Yeah, it's an exhibition game, but the house was packed. SEC Network was there, but they had some of their ESPN brand names in there. Seth Greenberg and Fran Fraschilla, I think, was there. So this was a for an exhibition game, I'm sure it's being talked about around the country, even though there were some players out.
Yeah, hard not to get excited about what you saw both on the offensive side and defensive side of the floor for Arkansas. But now moving forward, you got another exhibition coming up, this time against TCU. What are you looking for as the next step for this team to continue to get better day in and day out?
Well, I think you look for does Jonas Adu make his debut? Is he in the lineup? The 6'11" transfer from Tennessee, all SEC second team last year, all SEC defensive team. I don't think Arkansas is going to push it. I'm told he's missed a lot of practice time. Calipari even acknowledged that. So, I've been hearing that for a while. We saw him in the boot back in the Nolan photo. Is he available? If not, I think it's just trying to maintain consistency from what you saw from your players in terms of them already kind of embracing some of the roles that we see. And then the other thing is, let's keep an eye on Nelly Davis. Let's see because I thought it was really interesting. Calipari wanted him to continue to shoot. He took some bad shots, but they also ran some stuff for him. They tried to heavy tilt one side of the floor using some screen action on one side just to keep defenders occupied on that side. And they were really trying to get Boogie to move that way. Nelly come up opposite side and then get a quick pass to him. It worked. He got a shot. It didn't go in. It was a three. But let's see what they can build on with Nelly Davis. I'm not saying, obviously, this team could win without his firepower. Kansas was missing a lot of firepower. So let's see who's available. And let's see some of these maybe nuances with Nelly Davis, what they do there to get him going offensively. I thought things were beautiful on both ends of the court for most of it. Arkansas's three-point shooting is a question mark for me. So I'm going to keep an eye on that too in this next exhibition game because they only shot 25%. And that was true in both halves. So there's not an outlier half there that sunk that percentage or brought it up. That's probably still a question mark when we move forward. Most all the other boxes are checked, though, right this early relative to where we are in the calendar. Arkansas looked good, Evan.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I wanna remind you, like you said, it's hard to take, kind of get too excited because of it. Again, you were missing pieces and whatnot, and it's only a charity exhibition game. And again, it is only October. So, Kevin, I'm just reminding you of what you were talking about earlier to not get too excited and put too much stock into it. But I agree. I think it'll be fun to watch Nelly Davis as he continues to find his role because he's the big, prized possession when it comes to the backcourt for this team in the transfer portal. He was the guy that everyone's like, wow, let's see what he does. And look, Nelly Davis, not to knock him or anything. He's a great postseason player, has showed it multiple times. But you're not playing as good of competition as he's going to see night in and night out in the SEC, as well as a lot with this non-conference schedule facing Michigan, Miami, and some of these other teams that Arkansas is going to play, Baylor, not to mention all of them. But again, like you said, hard not to get excited about this team. Let's move forward. Let's talk a little bit about recruiting. Some big things popping up for the Razorbacks and Coach Cal. You said that there was no one really on campus this weekend, but there's been a lot of noise over on social media about guys that the Hogs might land.
Well, more than social media, I've been talking about this for a while. And, now to me, it's a public commitment watch for Malik Thomas, class of 2025, 5-star, 6'4" guard out of Pittsburgh. He's at Overtime Elite, continues to put up crazy. They put out on Overtime Elite, does great with its social media and these crazy clips of him in these different scenarios where he's basically, you can put a defender in front of him, but it doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, he's walking through guys, playing above them, shooting over them, getting around them. One of the most skilled two guards, probably the second best elite guard when you look at from a ranking standpoint in that 2025 class. But look, I've reported previously that he's a private silent commit to Arkansas. He did not take the scheduled visit this past weekend to Kansas State. I reported that as well, that wouldn't happen. Kind of last minute reporting, but finally realized he wasn't going. So now we're on public commitment watch. Malik Thomas, you put him with Darius Acup Jr., you've got two top 7 ranked when you look at both of them. Guards in that 2025 class, which I think is a loaded deep class relative to most. And now you've locked up the best recruiting backcourt in high school basketball. You're locked up on that by the early period. That's the thing. I think Malik Thomas gets it done soon enough for this early November signing period, November 13th through the 20th. And it's John Calipari recruiting. He said he was just moving the headquarters. You mean the proof will be in the pudding, but I think that's a great start. I think Arkansas is in great shape with some other players. And another from that 2025 class, more notable information I got out on Friday. Before I went to that Arkansas Kansas game, I stopped by Springdale High School to cover practice. Isaiah Seeley, a 6'7" combo guard, national number 55, according to ESPN, a 4-star. Calipari, it's one of 2 in-state players that Calipari has extended a scholarship offer. Seeley and class of 2026, 5-star J.J. Andrews from down here in Little Rock. But Seeley, I pop in there, and I'm there 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and we're having a conversation. He says, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I was down Wednesday at Arkansas practice, and then I met with Coach Calipari." So he also attended the Arkansas-Kansas game. So even though Arkansas didn't have visitors for the first time in several weeks on campus, when you really look at it, Arkansas has had 7 5-star visitors effectively spanning the previous 4 weeks. But they didn't have visitors this weekend. But Seeley was at the game. But Seeley also told me that he's in the works to set up a visit to Arkansas sometime during football season. He mentioned that he might wait till the spring, but we'll see about that. But I think if Calipari extends an offer and he's bringing you in to practice, Arkansas sent coaches out to Springdale High School, I think at least 3 times in recent weeks to see him practice. So to me, this might be moving toward, Arkansas trying to keep someone just down the street in Springdale home. And if anybody can do it, it's John Calipari, right?
Absolutely.
If anybody had so I think as we get closer to this early signing period, we're going to hear more and more, and even see some more visits, Evan, in the next few weeks.
Should be really exciting time, especially as basketball recruiting continues to ramp up as the season gets underway in just about 10 or so days. Kevin, anything else before we go?
Did I say how good Boogie Flynn and DJ Wagner looked together?
No, but you can say it again now. You did, but you can say it again because wow,
I mean, let's just keep it rolling. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Look. I know, pump the brakes. I know Purdue last year. Come on, it's one game. But those guys, we talked so much about sharing lead guard duties. Just put them out there. Every game presents a different matchup. Things happen in a season, and so we may not always see them on the court together. But those two with Nelly Davis in tandem, those 3 on the court together, and you got Bill Self, a blue blood, one of the greats, saying, "Hey, we won't face a backcourt like that all year," and they play in the Big 12. Come on, man. It had to be said again. I mean, I think Arkansas is going to at times look at its front court too, and you'll have a case that that's the strength of the team. This is a well put together roster, and now it's just a matter of letting it's got to play out. We got to see what happens.
Absolutely. Hog fans thought they were in for a really good treat last year with Devo Davis and El Ellis and some of those other guys. And now right. that's like an afterthought because of just how good this backcourt looked against Kansas. And these guys are 20-21 versus other guys under Muss who had all that experience. So the backcourt for Arkansas will absolutely be a strength and will only continue to improve from now until March. Kevin, as always, thank you so much for stopping by. That's going to do it for your Hog Hoops Report. For Kevin McPherson, I'm Evan Kamiko. More Pig Trail Show coming up after the break.